It's time for Mornings at 8 with Jonathan Mark on AM 1480 WLEA.
Well, yes, it is. Yes, it is time for Mornings at 8. It's, maybe 6 minutes after 8 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. Tuesday. That's right. At least it's not Monday all over again. Well, this morning we're doing something just a little different. I am broadcasting from my office here in Greater Metropolitan Almond, that bustling hub of industry and commerce. We're trying something a little new, so we'll see how this works. Let me see here. A little chilly out there. Right now it's 23, and we had a little bit of snow overnight. Here in Almond, we got, I think, 4, maybe 3.5 or 4 inches, and a little more on the way. It could be worse. It could be a lot worse. And I'm kind of wondering, I wonder how that global warming is coming this morning. I'm not quite sure. This should melt those Arctic ice caps really quick. That'll do the trick right there. So here's global warming for you. Well, let me see. On Brian's News, as you heard, the governor yesterday signed a slew of, I think there were 14 different bills dealing with benefits and services for veterans, which I think is an absolutely great idea. And they help or give services to those who are injured or suffering from PTSD. The homeless problem among the veterans is a big deal. A lot of veterans are homeless. So there are a lot of new bills signed, and I think they're all really, really good. And speaking of veterans and Veterans Day, yesterday was Veterans Day, of course. A lot of ceremonies all over the place, all over the country. And here, where did I find this? I found this on Fox News. The University of Virginia used to have, for 10 years, a 21-gun salute for Veterans Day. Big ceremony. As a matter of fact, it's like a 24-hour vigil and a ceremony and all that. And they would have a 21-gun salute. But this year, they canceled it. No more 21 guns. Why? Because even though it's been going on for 10 years and everybody knows it's going on, and it's going to be going on, right? But they canceled it because firing weapons on campus could cause panic among students. And the decision to end the tribute was made by the school provost office and the colonel of the ROTC on campus. And one of the president of University of Virginia said, one, is that it would be disruptive to classes, and two, unfortunately, with gun violence in the U.S., there was some concern that we would cause a panic if someone heard gunshots on the grounds. So that's why they canceled it, even though everybody knows it's coming, because it's been going on for 10 years, but this was probably, everybody's going to panic, right? So who's this? A veteran who went through the ROTC program at the school said the 21-gun salute was the ultimate tribute to those who have served and passed away. But I guess it's going to panic all the students there, and so they kind of skipped it this year. And there we go. That's the University of Virginia. And let me see here. If you're looking for good news this morning, that's kind of negative. But if you're looking for good news, this I found on Breitbart, a poll. 7 in 10 voters believe in America First agenda ahead of the 2020 election. 7 in 10. Ahead of the 2020 presidential election, the overwhelming majority of likely voters say they believe in the doctrine of America First when it comes to national public policy, a new poll reveals. And who is the poll by? Sulzer and Company and Grinnell College. And the poll finds that the vast majority of American adults say they are America First voters, while less than 20% identify as socialists. Overall, about 7 in 10 of likely voters say they are believers in America First, the nationalist, populist doctrine that guides President Trump's agenda on immigration, trade, healthcare, and foreign policy, among others. Meanwhile, only about 2 in 10 of likely voters said they would describe themselves as socialist, making the term the most unlike label for Americans. Instead, more Americans describe themselves as politically incorrect, feminists, gun enthusiasts, proud Americans, and progressives than they do socialists. So a March survey by Harvard-Harris found similar results when U.S. voters were asked their opinions on specific policy questions and whether they side with Trump's America First doctrine on the issues. So I think that's pretty good news. So 7 in 10 voters believe in America First, according to these two polls. Wow. Okay, very good. I think that's good news. And let me see. Here are two stories from San Francisco. And let me see if these two stories really don't jibe like at all in any way. And the first one, this is from CBS News. BART is the Bay Area Rapid Transit, and BART was built sometime in the 1960s. It took years and years and years to build Bay Area Rapid Transit. It's called BART. And they have a strict rule that there's no eating on subway platforms, right? Or train platforms. So this guy, he's standing there, and this man, there's a photograph. This guy is eating what appears to be a breakfast sandwich. It occurred, at 8 o'clock in the morning, so it's probably a breakfast sandwich. He's holding a breakfast sandwich, and here's a BART cop approaching him. So this man was arrested and charged and handcuffed. He was charged with resisting arrest and was being detained for not cooperating, and video of the incident was posted on social media. So this guy is arrested and charged for eating a breakfast sandwich because eating is not allowed on the platforms. So this guy winds up in handcuffs for eating a breakfast sandwich because you're not supposed to do that, and apparently they're really strict about that in San Francisco. And enforcement of infractions, such as eating and drinking inside our paid area, should not be used to prevent us from delivering on our mission to provide safe, reliable, and clean transportation, a spokesman for BART said. So this guy winds up being arrested. Okay, that's one. Next story, again, from San Francisco. So you can't eat a breakfast sandwich on a train platform, right? The next story, this is from Fox News. San Francisco's new DA pledges not to prosecute public urination and other quality-of-life crimes. San Francisco's newly elected district attorney has promised not to prosecute public urination and other quality-of-life crimes that have plagued the lucrative Bay Area amid a crippling homelessness crisis affecting urban communities across California, including Los Angeles and San Diego and all that. In response to an American Civil Liberties Union questionnaire reported by the San Francisco Chronicle last month, Chesa Bowden, it's C-H-E-S-A, Chesa Bowden, said such crimes should not be prosecuted. And it's a guy. He says, we will not prosecute cases involving quality-of-life crimes. Crimes such as public camping. I'm not quite sure what public camping is. Not quite sure. Crimes such as public camping, offering or soliciting sex, public urination, blocking a sidewalk, etc., should not and will not be prosecuted. Many of these crimes are still being prosecuted. We have a long way to go to decriminalize poverty and homelessness. Now, Bowden is a progressive attorney and former public defender, and he defeated the city's top prosecutor last week after promising sweeping criminal justice reforms. And he was one of several progressive candidates elected to district attorney offices across the country in recent years. Now, Bowden is the son of parents who were members of the radical left-wing Weather Underground. And if you don't remember radical groups of the 60s, the Weather Underground was one of the worst and the most radical. They were really nasty people. So his parents were part of the Weather Underground. And Bowden grew up with his parents incarcerated for their roles in an armed robbery that left 3 men dead. So the new DA of San Francisco is a son of Weather Underground parents. Let me see. There can be no justice when we utilize prison and jails as a solution to all of our problems, he said Saturday. We must think differently. That's pretty different. Yeah, I'll say that. So San Francisco has grappled with quality of life issues as the area's homeless population has surged. Residents have complained of homeless encampments blocking sidewalks and contributing to crime, public urination, and feces on the streets. Last year, the city assigned 6 workers to a poop patrol detail to rid the streets of human waste. San Francisco received 27,000 requests to pick up excrement last year. 27,000 requests to pick up excrement last year in San Francisco. But apparently, it's perfectly okay if you urinate on the sidewalk in San Francisco, or offer sex, or solicit sex, or block a sidewalk. That's perfectly okay in San Francisco. However, if you eat a breakfast sandwich on a train platform, baby, you're going to jail. Here come the handcuffs, here comes jail time, and who knows what all else. I mean, I think it's pretty strange. That is San Francisco. That is on the left coast. And that's what they're doing to California. You got to love it. You just got to love it. That's so strange. So, better to urinate on the sidewalk than eat a breakfast sandwich. Oh, my. Okay. I think everybody needs insurance. That's probably a given, right? Well, you can do no better. You can do no better anywhere than the Ryan agencies. They have offices in Hornell, Jasper, and Wellsville. They're insurance experts. They know how insurance works. They'll find out which company is best for you, which plan will work for you. They'll find the best rates for you. That's right. You are the important one. They're insurance experts. They offer sound, unbiased advice because they are beholden to no one insurance company. They have all these insurance companies at their disposal, and they'll find the best rates for you. They are the Ryan agencies.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
In the NFL on Monday Night Football, it was an NFC West clash in Santa Clara where the 49ers were hosting the Seahawks. Now, both defense forced multiple turnovers, and each side had a fumble return for a touchdown. Both teams hit fourth-quarter field goals to force overtime. In the overtime, Seattle quarterback Russell Wilson threw an interception. That was followed by a missed game-winning field goal attempt for San Francisco. In the end, the Seahawks get a second chance, and Jason Myers hits a 42-yard field goal with 4 seconds left to give the Seahawks the 27-24 overtime victory. Seattle now 8-2 on the season with the win. For San Francisco, they get their first loss of the season and fall to 8-1. Checking games note in the NBA, Celtics over the Mavericks 116-106. Boston's 8-1 with their 8th straight win. Clippers down the Raptors 98-88. Clippers are 7-3 in his first game against his old team. LA star Kawhi Leonard had 12 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists. Rockets beat the Pelicans 122-116.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks falling as investors sifted through a slew of earnings reports today, with the Dow falling 19 points, the Nasdaq down 49, S&P 500 down 3. And shares of plant-based meat company Beyond Meat were far from sizzling today on Wall Street, falling over 22%, marking the end of Beyond Meat's lockup period. For the first time since its IPO, early investors can sell the stock. Now, despite the sell-off, Beyond Meat reported a much bigger profit than expected for its third quarter. Shares of Mattel spiking after hours, around 18%, after the toy maker posted better than expected earnings for the third quarter as newer models boosted demand for its flagship Barbie brand, and the launch of dolls based on Korean pop sensation BTS lifted international sales. Mattel also announcing it will be hiring a new chief financial officer in the wake of a whistleblower investigation relating to its accounting practices. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive Little Blue Pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And Hims makes it extra affordable. And right now, get your first online visit totally free when you go to forhims.com/joy. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/joy. forhims.com/joy.
Today at Simmons Rockwell Nissan in Horseheads and Hornell, New York, you'll find brand new 2019 Nissan Sentra SV models equipped with 16-inch alloy wheels, rear monitor, push-button ignition, and cruise control for just $15,999. Shop Simmons Rockwell Nissan in Horseheads or Hornell. Simmons-Rockwell.com.
Okay, and we're back. You've got to hear this one. This took place in Florida. An atheist group has complained about new decals on a Florida county's patrol cars that feature an American flag and the phrase, "In God We Trust." The Freedom from Religion Foundation argues that the new patriotic decal suggested by a local military veteran is, quote, frightening and dubious, in a letter to the Brevard County Sheriff's Office. But the sheriff, his name is Wayne Ivey, isn't backing down. He says they have a better chance of me waking up thin tomorrow morning than they do of me taking that motto off our cars. Now, you ought to see a photograph of the sheriff. He's sort of a stocky, heavy guy. He says there's a better chance of me waking up thin tomorrow. He says, I personally believe that our country is at a tipping point. And if we, as strong patriotic Americans, don't stand for the principles of our great nation, we are going to lose the America we all know and love. At least most of us. Maybe some of us don't. Who knows? He says, I can assure you that the proud men and women of our agency are forever unwavering in our support of the Constitution and the principles of our amazing country. However, Annie Laurie Gaylor, co-president of the Atheist Group, said the new decals were, quote, inappropriate and exclusionary, calling the National and Sunshine State's motto controversial in a statement. She said, spending taxpayer time placing religious messages on patrol cars is beyond the scope of secular government. Further, in a time when citizens nationwide are increasingly distrustful of law enforcement officers' actions, it is frightening and politically dubious for the local police department to announce to citizens that officers rely on the judgment of a deity rather than on the judgment of the law. To protect the conscience of all citizens, the FFRE, that's the Atheist Group, is asking the Sheriff's Department to remove "In God We Trust" from all office property, not just the vehicles. So apparently the sheriff is not going to back down. He's just not going to back down. So that's what's going on in Florida. To put "In God We Trust" on sheriff's office vehicles is frightening and dubious. Who knows? I don't know. It's a very, very strange world out there. And what else have we here? How about, talking about strange, Jerry Springer. That's right. I was going to leave this for tomorrow, but I guess not. Remember Jerry Springer? He had this stupid talk show on where people would get up there and yell and hoot and holler at each other, and fists would fly, and they'd throw chairs across the stage, and they'd argue and roll around and wrestle and all that. Well, quality programming, right? Yeah. Jerry Springer, the former mayor of Cincinnati, Ohio, best known for his crass TV show, has blamed Donald Trump for America's so-called lack of civility. That's coming from Jerry Springer. Springer made the comments in a discussion with MSNBC, who's the host, Stephanie Ruhle, over the weekend, about whether civil norms are breaking down in the modern era. So Springer says it's all Donald Trump's fault. Did you ever see Jerry Springer's show? Okay? I mean, it was just, that's bizarre. That's totally bizarre. And that's coming from Jerry Springer. So the lack of civility in our culture is all Donald Trump's fault. Okay, fine, that's that one. And maybe another one. Oh, this is how much time have I got? Not a whole bunch. This is a cautionary. If you were going to write a children's book, this would be an excellent book, I think, because there's got to be a moral here somewhere. But there were two bucks in Michigan, and they were apparently fighting, and they got their antlers tangled up, and they couldn't break free. So these two bucks are fighting. and they can't break free because now they're locked into this thing. It's like a wire, the puzzle or something. So this farmer comes along, $8 bucks. So this hunter comes along and sees these two deer, or bucks, and he says, well, if they don't break apart, which they obviously can't, they'll either die from exhaustion or starvation, or maybe a coyote will come and, and finish the job. So he calls a neighbor who calls another neighbor, and they're trying to untangle these bucks. So first they got to corral them, right? So they put the ropes on these deer, and they drag them toward a creek. So they get a branch saw or something, a pole saw, and they saw their antlers apart. So these two deer go running off in the woods or something, and one goes in one direction, the other goes in the other direction. So they save these two deer. But the point being that they were fighting, and they got entangled. So because of their fight, they almost died. And if they hadn't saw these two deer apart, they would have, I don't know, very strange. Anyway, yeah, that sounds like a cautionary tale. A cautionary tale. If you're going to argue with somebody or fight with somebody, be sure you don't get your antlers entangled, because it could wind up very, very badly for you. And let me see, is there time for another one? Maybe one more. Let me see here. This is from CNN. The oldest living couple in the world is a husband and wife from Texas. The man, John Henderson, is 106, and his wife, Charlotte, is 105. Now, the Andersons have a love story that began 80 years ago. They got married 80 years ago. They got married in 1939. They met at the University of Texas in 1934. So John played football, and what did Charlotte do? It doesn't say what she did. But anyway, they got married in 1939, and they spent $7 on the hotel room for their honeymoon. And these people have been together for 80 years. I mean, 80 years. How many marriages last 80 years? Both are still very healthy, and John exercises every day. 10 years ago, the two moved into a senior village associated with the University of Texas. And what's the secret to a long life and happy marriage? Well, John says, live life in moderation and be cordial to your spouse. So that's what's going on there. And I think it's an absolutely wonderful story. So I guess that's it for this morning, and I will see you tomorrow at 8:05-ish.